call this regular meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. If you would stand, Ms. Christy Perkerson will lead us in the invocation, and Ms. Kelly Ginkle will lead us on the pledges.
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing us to be here this evening, Lord. And I pray, Lord, that you would just help these graduates that are going to graduate this evening, and bless them and their future lives and everything that they want to accomplish, Lord, that you would just help them. And I pray, Lord, that you would just give us the wisdom and the knowledge to make the decisions that we have before us this evening. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Stay standing.
The next item on the agenda is the graduation ceremony. Dr. Myers.
Ms. Harris?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the school board meeting tonight. My name is Therese Harris, and I'm the principal at Douglas Learning Academy. And I'd like to first of all thank the school board and Dr. Myers for this opportunity to present our latest graduates. I'd like to thank all the friends and family that came out tonight for the graduates, and thank you to the faculty members that showed up as well. We're always so proud of our graduates. They work so hard. These two young ladies were so focused. We had 3 tonight, but Kevin Gonzalez was unable to make it. So we'll hold on to his stuff, but unfortunately he cannot. Maybe next month he can show up. I think he had to work. But anyway, we have 2 young ladies before us, and I'm very familiar with these young ladies. We've talked before about what they would like to do, and our first graduate tonight, her name is Yannette Galvan, and her dream is to be a physical therapist, and currently she's working part-time, and she's going to come up to Douglas, and we're going to help her apply for scholarships and get enrolled at Lone Star College so that she can launch her physical therapist career pretty soon. So congratulations. She's ready to start that career like right now. Good job, Yannette. Thank you, sweetie. And next we've got Miss Rachel Perkins, and she has been talking for years about becoming a nurse. Miss Williamson's going to help her. I think she's already helped her because she's applied for some scholarships, and she is like ready to go start her spring semester at Lone Star College in Kingwood, and she's going to be a registered nurse. So we're real proud of Rachel Perkins. Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
The next item on the agenda is the Air Force Junior ROTC presentation.
We have a couple of young men that's going to talk to us about AJRTC. Air Force ROTC.
Hello everyone, I'm Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Knight, and this is
I'm Cadet Colonel Hodge. I am the special assistant to Colonel Hunt over there. And we're just going to give you a little briefing about what we've done and what we're going to do. Take it over, Corps Commander.
for our Christmas fundraiser, or sorry, let me start before that. For our Fill the Bus fundraiser, this is where we raise money to get school supplies for kids around the community that do not have enough money to do so. We raised $3,780 for that, which is over our goal, and we're real proud of our cadets for that. For the Christmas fundraiser, we raised $9,060, and which is also over our goal, which was $8,000. We gave Christmas presents to over 100 families, which is approximately around 300 kids. So we're real proud about that as well.
And with these two fundraisers, we set a goal at the beginning of the year when I was Corps Commander that we would raise over $10,000 as just a fundraiser limit, and we've exceeded that goal within November. Next was coming up, we are hosting a drill meet this next coming Saturday. We have 19 schools coming. Feel free to come by. It's really something to see. Next, the 28th, we also have what's called a rocketry meet. We have about 20 schools coming in that, so that's also something to see as well. If you're free, come down. Things that are coming up. This summer, I went to a NASA camp, and I experienced something called a tram tour, which is basically they take you through NASA, and you actually get to see the engineers, you get to see the scientists working on these models. And what I'm working on this year is to get us a trip there. We get a discount because we're a school, and it's just something to see rather than just going, down to the Museum of Natural Science and just, going to the course. It's something to see at NASA. Also, we have the Special Olympics coming up, which is in, May, April? May, April. We go down there, we set up Friday, and we help run the event. Saturday, is it Saturday and Sunday? Saturday and Sunday. That's also, it's really inspirational once they win a little medal, and it's really something. Anything else, Corporal?
Is there any questions about anything else that we have going on?
Your drill beat is the 21st this Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Was it here last time?
Yes, sir.
as
It's
well?
always at the high school.
Okay.
The drill meet will be at the high school. The rocketry competition, however, will be hosted at Cleveland Airport.
Oh, yeah.
So there's probably a reason for that, huh?
Yeah.
We recommend you don't fly that day, sir.
Or nobody for that matter. Anything else?
Thank you. Congratulations to y'all. I've worked hard.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Y'all keep up the good work. Good job.
We appreciate all that the Air Force Junior ROTC program does, and all that you guys contribute. It's a great program. Anything we can do to help and support it, let us know. Keep up the good work. Great job, guys.
We had great support from the school board, from the superintendent, from our principals. It was fantastic support. I went to training in Alabama this past summer, where I met with a lot of instructors from all over the country, and I don't think anybody gets as much support as we do. They were jealous of the things we do. Thank you very much for your support of our program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Hunt.
Nobody signed up. Okay. The next item on the agenda is reports. Dr. Myers.
Our student enrollment right now is at 3888, which, as you can tell from the previous months, continues to climb. So that's both a double-edged sword there. Right now, at Southside, we have 1,091 students over there. It's up a little bit as well. Our attendance, our goal is 97% right now. We're at 95.24% for the district, so we've got some work to do there. I would remind you that on page 14 of your board packet, there is an election calendar for our board elections. And just a couple of notes on that. February the 27th is the last day to register for candidacy. And the election day will be on May the 9th from 7 to 7 Cleveland Civic Center. Our spring break's coming up March the 9th through the 13th. And we'll have an early release on March the 6th, that Friday prior to that week. Our TASB leadership conference that we always enjoy going to in San Antonio and getting our credit hours for school board requirements statutorily. That's coming up on June the 11th through the 13th. So if you would, I've reserved rooms for that. Well, I will reserve rooms for that once they open them up. But if you will send me an email and let me know if that works for your calendar to attend or not, we can go from there. And the last thing that I have here is that our board meeting for March is going to be on March the 16th, Monday the 16th. We have the remaining reports printed in your packet. I won't go through them individually, but be happy to answer any questions or have the administration answer any questions that you may have in regard to those.
I have some questions. Ms. Silva, can I ask the questions?
Sure.
Okay. What does leaver submission mean?
That's a report that we submitted to TPA, and what it was the coding and themes for certain students.
Okay. And I was going to ask the truancy officer a question. Is he here?
No, ma'am, he's not here. Maybe I can answer it for you.
Okay, I was just going to ask, I saw where he is teaching on Wednesdays and Fridays.
He is helping with our explorers in the classroom to get them ready to go to competition.
So it's not every Wednesday and Friday, it's just for a little period of time, or is it all the time?
No, it's basically for a couple of class periods each Wednesday and Friday. Would you like to?
The Explorers is that group of students that they had last year, part of the police department. Well, this year they've kind of meshed it in, and Officer Courtney is able to come into the classrooms with Mr. Holman's criminal justice, because we now have criminal justice students who are participating in Skills USA competition, which is a great plus. We didn't have that last year. So Officer Courtney is going to work with them and help guide them and show them some things to get ready for competition.
Okay, very good.
And just as a side note, he, in the competition, they do such things as felony stop, things of that nature. And he's been involved in that Skills USA competition in the past in the previous school district.
Okay. I just wanted to say congratulations on the distinguished graduation plan of the 12 students. I'm very proud to see that. That's all I had.
Any other questions? The administrators' reports. If not, the next item on the agenda is bills and payroll. Dr. Myers.
In your package, you have the bills and payroll, beginning on page 38. Be happy to try to answer any questions about those that you may have. But at the same time, I would recommend that we approve those for disbursement.
Do I have a motion concerning bills and payroll?
So moved.
Motion from Kelly. Have a second, please.
A second.
Second from Sky. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is budget amendment.
On page 59 and 60, we have a budget amendment before you. It's for federal funds distributed by TEA. For the most part, we got a little windfall with some extra entitlements, so we're working those into the budget. There are a couple of areas that we're trying to move some money around to cover some things that we're doing. One of them being under professional services. You can see the increase or the decrease in that, and as well as over on supplies on page 60. But for the most part, it's basically adding some windfalls in that we received that we weren't expecting.
Okay, do I have a motion concerning the budget amendment? Motion from Sky? From Christie?
When we're splitting, it's always
I'm gonna have to look. Do I have a second, please?
A second.
Second from Tammy. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from the regular meeting of January 20th.
I would want to point out there's one correction that we need to make to the minutes as you have them that was brought to my attention that got by me. There was not a brief graduation ceremony at our last board meeting, so I've asked the board to strike that before approving the minutes.
Okay, do I have a motion concerning the minutes?
So moved.
With the correction?
With the, oh, okay, yeah, with the correction, with
Okay.
omitting
Okay.
the brief graduation ceremony.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second from Lyric. All those in favor? Motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is the district's delinquent tax collection contract with Linebarger. Dr. Myers?
Yes, it's time for us to do that. I'm going to let Derek Mendoza visit with us about that.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, Superintendent, esteemed members of the board. Again, as you know, I'm Derek Mendoza with Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. Tonight, we have our contract up for renewal, if possible. We've had a pretty good year. Despite having a little bit lower turnover, it looks like we've collected more this year than last year. That being the total of, for base tax, $1,257.155 versus last year's $1,134,193. So we're doing pretty good. And we've been giving, taxpayers their fair chance to pay and being as ethical as possible in doing so. Now, that being said, we hope to continue our representation of Cleveland ISD and working hard for you and looking after the best interests of the school district, and we would request that we be renewed this year if the board so chooses. Any questions of me, please ask.
Do I have a motion concerning the contract?
No changes in the contract?
No changes at all. The only thing I changed is the years, the dates, obviously, for obvious purposes. All the terms are the same.
I'll make the motion
All right.
to renew their contract.
Motion from Kelly,
A second.
second from Sky.
Good third, too. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. We have trial tomorrow, actually, in Liberty, so if there's nothing else, we may be excused. I'm going to be coming back here in the morning. I did want to drop off the contract copies here. These are signed by my office. It's the same contract, and I will just drop it off with you, Mr. President.
Okay.
The review, everything is the same. It's signed at your leisure. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mendoza.
Again, thank you all very much. Appreciated.
Thank you.
That was a joke there.
That's renewing our contract.
All right, the next item on the agenda is presentation from Claycomb Associates. Dr. Myers?
I have tonight with us Richard Crump, who is, I guess, what would your title be with the company now?
Vice
Mr. Crump, Vice President with Claycomb Associates, and I would recommend him to you as our architect so we can get started in looking at what we need to do with our facilities. And I've asked them to help us with the needs assessment and looking at what we currently have as far as our school plants are concerned, and being able to work with us and our citizens to make sure that we do what and come up with a plan as far as what we need and what we need as far as the long-range plan is concerned as well. And when I say long-range, in this day and time, we're talking about 5 to 7 years. It's not like it used to be. So, Mr. Crump, is there anything you'd like to say to the board?
It'd be an honor to work for you guys and serve you, and we'll do our best and collect as much information as we can and then work with you to figure out what the solution is.
And I will say this, I was very pleased we had 11 submittals. And I had worked with 4 of them previously, so it was a very tough decision. But I put a matrix together for grading them, and I went through and objectively graded them, and Claycomb was on top. Now I have to deal with the other 3 friends about not getting a job, or not being recommended to the board, I should say. But I do wholeheartedly recommend them from working with them in the past and having a good working relationship and knowing the quality of work that they do.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Crump? If not, do I have a motion?
When does he start? When does he start? Right now?
Right after we approve it?
They wanted to start before now, but I've because they're eager to help us, but I've held them off till after, just because I didn't want any legal ramifications or anything, so I've held them off till now.
All right, we have a motion from Sky. Do we have a second, please? Second from Derek. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Crump. Next item on the agenda is the bid proposals for Cleveland ISD grounds maintenance services.
We did go out for bids. As you know, I gave you the specifications previously. They're also in your packet, again on page 70. And we had a bid meeting last Friday, Friday a week ago. And we had, I think, 7 in attendance, but we had 4 that did the job. And if you look, there's a loose page next to your place, and the reason that is because the bid opening, actually, I didn't open the bids until this morning to tabulate them, but the bids closed Friday evening at 4 o'clock, and I was going to the basketball game, and I didn't have time to hang around and tabulate them Friday evening, so, but I have them here for you now, and the first page, as you see, is the bids as they were submitted. I do have the actual bids that were submitted here with me, if the board cares to look at them, and obviously we'll keep those on file for legal purposes. But Before you is the tally sheet that we have, or the spreadsheet, I should say, of those bids. And as you look at them, I would point to the second page that we have. And that's essentially, from what I can best approximate, is our cost that we currently have for grounds maintenance. Essentially, we spend, and one of the problems is breaking it out as far as exactly what the equipment costs are and supply cost, because they are mixed in with general maintenance and it's not a separate line item. But figuring that the average equipment cost per person is about $15,000 a year by the time you look at the mowers and maintaining them and the blades and the gas and the trimmers and so forth and so on. It comes out to probably around $15,000. So as you see there, with two full-time employees, and we do employ 2 young men during the summer to help us. Right now, we're spending right at probably around $91,000 for that, for what we have at the current time. So as we look at the front page, it gives you a pretty good comparison of what we're currently spending as opposed to what's been bid. I will say this, the athletic fields, obviously, as we talked about, the specifications prior to this are not included in that. We're going to do those on our own, and our people will continue to do athletic fields. My hope is, we are spread so thin right now, and Mr. Lee can tell you those guys chase their tails most of the time in summer, trying to keep up with things. My hope is that we have a lot more time to devote to our athletic fields in the future. Not to say they're bad now, Mr. Lee, at all. It's just that I know it's a strain on those guys. But anyway, with that said, you can see here the bids that have come in. Third Day Creations, the one thing I would say is those bids are per mowing. So it's pretty easy to get a pretty good tally there on those bids if you do it in multiples of 10. You know, and the thing is, when we wrote the specs, you're actually going to average about every 10 days on average year mowing during the summer, and every 2 to 3 weeks during the winter. If the contractor's lucky, we have a drought and they don't have to mow quite as much. If we're lucky, we have a lot of rain and a lot of lush lawns, and they have to mow a little bit more. But that's just an average, I would say. So if you look at that first bid, I would certainly encourage you to just look at that in the multiples of 10. I would say the average is probably going to be somewhere around 30 to 36 times a year that they're going to have to mow. Four Seasons Lawn Care there, you can see their bid. That is a total bid per year. Macklemore Building Maintenance is a total bid per year. And then Overstreet Landscape is the same. I'll answer any questions that the board may have about those bids or the process.
Are any of these local?
I know that, I'm not sure, I know Third Day Creations is from Tomball? Montgomery. Four Seasons Lawn Care is a Livingston firm. Macklemore Building Maintenance, I'm not going to tell you a story more.
Are you with Third Day Creations? Is there any of the other lawn services here?
They weren't required to come.
Okay. Thank you for coming. That's okay. I mean,
I've got it right
I'm
now.
assuming they're not because
They're from Houston.
Okay.
And then Overstreet Landscape Service is also a Livingston firm.
Is there any of them that you're familiar with, Dr. Myers?
I have worked previously with Four Seasons Lawn Care and Overstreet Landscape Service. They both did good jobs. Most of the time, what I've found with any of the contractors, and I've worked with a lot more than that, most of the time what I've found with any of the contractors that I've worked with in this business is that if you have an issue and you tell them, they're going to fix it and try to make it right to the best of their ability. And, you know, I can say that both of those did do that for me, and I've never had one company that didn't do that.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Do we have, did I do this right to say that third day creations would?
Yes.
Okay. That's why I had my phone out. I wasn't checking text messages or anything. I was adding.
There's such a big discrepancy.
Do we have sprinkler systems outside of our baseball and football fields?
Outside of it?
Like on the,
Somewhere else.
on the
High school
campuses,
or-
like on on the school grounds? Are there
Not to my
sprinkler
knowledge.
systems? No, just on
We
the,
have sprinkler system on the south side,
okay.
okay, and then the interior on the outside of the high school,
Okay.
you open up next to the building.
See, I was answering the wrong question, wasn't I? Thank you, Mr. Lee.
And do we use those?
When the
Do
drought,
we use them in the summertime
only if it becomes severe,
when we need to?
yes, you know, keep it alive.
Keep it green?
Yeah.
Or just keep it alive? We don't
I mean,
use it?
It's feast or famine.
Yeah.
1 week will be, 2 weeks will be dry, and then
So they're not on timers then? You manually set the timer whenever you want to use them?
They are set up to be on time.
That's all I had.
Okay. Any other questions? So just to, do you have a question?
No, I'm just complaining.
And I do have a question. This doesn't include them coming in and actually,
Watching the beds.
yeah, initiating the landscaping by putting in shrubberies and so on.
No, ma'am. Initial, like we talked about, the initial bedding and preparing the bedding and buying the plants and so forth, we would be responsible for. We talked in the meeting that they could help plant the plants and things like that, but we would have to pay for that.
So it's in
Then-
addition?
Then, throughout the year, they maintain that. We buy the mulch and they maintain it twice a year.
So this is literally maintenance. I mean,
This is literally mowing and
Mowing
edging
and
and
edging.
trimming.
goodness,
No,
no.
when you say trimming, is that trimming of the shrubberies or just? Okay, well, that's good.
And as far as our current resources, we're just going to redeploy them to athletic fields and,
Athletic fields as well as other maintenance tasks.
okay. So we're not talking about any reduction in force here or anything? Okay.
I would not suggest that.
Yeah, I think we're,
We run pretty wide open on maintenance right now with the folks that we have. And it's probably good for Mr. Lee during the winter when those guys aren't working because he gets a little extra help from those guys, and it takes some of the pressure off some of the maintenance guys.
How do you feel about this?
Fantastic. It gives me an opportunity to do other things, you know, that needs to be done.
We're not actually deciding right this minute, are we? Are we deciding?
That's at the board. It's on there as an action item.
Can we talk about it back there when we go and then?
yeah, we can defer.
Till next board.
Do you want to till the next meeting or
I
till
don't know. I mean,
later this evening?
I know I want to do
What's
it,
your
but I
pleasure?
don't know which
Do
one
you
to.
have, do you have an idea, Dr. Myers? Like, you said you've worked with a couple of these?
Well, just based on the bidding process and looking at what I see, Four Seasons Lawn Care is your best bid. But
That's so, like, there's such a discrepancy.
that's my next point, is there's a large discrepancy there between that and the next two bids. I've not had a problem with them in the past, but I'll be honest with you, that's a low bid.
Yeah, it's a little concerning.
Was this open? Do they all know what the bids? Does everybody know what the bids are?
They can now, there's sealed bids.
Okay, sealed bids. So, okay.
So Kelly needs to bargain.
No, I just wondered, I mean, I would like to make a decision, but I don't know how to make a decision right this minute. I mean, I know that we need to do it, that's
That's
for
how I
sure,
feel
but I
too.
don't know what.
The options right now are to defer it until later tonight, or
Okay.
and we can do that, and then we could still defer it to the next meeting if we
Okay.
chose not to decide tonight.
Perfect.
So,
And all the contracts are exactly the same on all of these?
Yes,
Okay,
all the same specs,
Okay.
they got all the same materials, and we had a bidders meeting, and I think they pretty much all understand exactly what's expected, and it's spelled out so that, good understanding makes good friends.
yes, sir.
It's just so confusing how they're nowhere even close to each other. I don't know.
Well, I will say Mr. Lee did take them to look at, after the bid meetings, he
Did
was
you-
available to take the contractors to look at each one of the sites and answer questions, along with our current grounds crew.
And what's your opinion? Did one stand out a little more than the other, in your opinion, when you talked to them personally and
I was in a group,
all together?
no one-on-one.
I see.
How can they all do the same thing?
Okay.
okay, so we'll just postpone that till later this meeting. We don't really need a motion or anything to do that. We can consider each of these in any order. So we'll just skip that item for now. The next item on the agenda is the 2015-16 Indianet Handbook.
If you look in your packet, we have a copy of that. Beginning on page 75, I emailed, where you can see the emails there from Ms. Cattell about changes in the book, and there's basically really no changes. I will say some things are a little bit more delineated with regard to demerits. What is an offense that would get you one demerit? What will get you two demerits, 3 and 4, and things like that. So it's a little bit more detailed than previously in that respect. But glancing over it, I don't see any glaring changes that she's made, and she also states that it's just basically more concise and more organized than it was last year. Any questions I can answer on that? And I do just, if you do have questions, just so you know, I do have a copy of last year's Indianet handbook with us.
Do I have a motion concerning the handbook?
So moved.
Motion from Kelly. Have a second, please.
Second.
Christie. Second from Christie. Any other questions or discussion? not, all those in favor? Motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is the first reading of the proposed EIC local policy. Dr. Myers?
We had talked about, Mr. McCandless gave us an overview last board meeting of the policies that we had in relation to honored graduates. And I recommend, after conferring with Mr. McCandless and other administrators and looking at what some other districts do and what I'm accustomed to in the past as well, that we amend our local policy EIC to state that the district shall recognize as honored graduates all students who ranked in the top 10% of their class. So if you would give that some thought, we'll bring it back. Obviously, I'll answer any questions now, but we'll bring it back for a vote during our March board meeting. And that would apply to the current class as well.
Any other questions about that? And that's the only change we're proposing, is just everybody in the top 10% is an honors grad.
Yeah, as
And that kind of
opposed to
fixes the issues we had with grading and all that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just so you know, the previous policy, or I shouldn't say previous, the current policy for EIC is located right behind the proposed policy, so you can make a comparison there, but that's the only section for change.
Okay. So we're not talking about any changes to ranking or how we rank or calculate anything, it's just the honored grads?
It's just who we see as the honor graduates.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. The next item on the agenda is TASB Policy Update 101. Dr. Myers?
This is our final reading on this policy. I've read through it twice. I don't see any problems with our policy or the policy recommendations. The one thing that I would point out is I would recommend those policy revisions with the caveat that we follow the district's counsel, Dennis Eichelbaum, and his letter of recommendation regarding the policy that I've given to you previously with regard to agendas and number of folks being able to request items on the agenda. And it basically says at least 2 board members is what he recommends.
When it wasn't, it was just
It was
anybody.
just individual. And I think the TASB model has basically a majority or something of that nature, but the attorney recommends that 2 board members. So if you have 2 that have a concern with a particular item, that's a pretty good indication that I need to talk about it.
Okay, sure.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Sky. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second from Tammy. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
Can I make one more comment about that?
Sure.
I want to call your attention to one other thing on page 105. It's just your continuing education requirements to be a board member. And they're basically the same. But just want to point out that now for new board members, they're required a 3-hour local orientation instead of the 1 hour. So just keep that in the back of your mind, that if or when there are new board members that come on the board, they're not going to have the opportunity of a 1 hour session. They'll be going through a 3. So y'all did good.
Do you have to go through that whole process again if you're re-elected?
No.
No.
No. It's just your initial, the initial time that you're elected, you're required to do that. Now, what we will, as a board, be required to do, just as a reminder, it is a legislative year. And once the legislature is complete, and they'll wait till after to make sure there's not going to be a special session. But usually in August, we'll have to do a legislative update for them to inform you about all the different laws and statutes that have been passed that relate to education.
I thought they were extending the board meetings to 3 hours. Not really.
So does it state who gives that 3 hours, provides that 3 hour orientation?
No, my recommendation is, on an orientation like that, is that we would get somebody, preferably, I've used Dr. Levette in the past, the director of BSC 5, to come in and do that, work with a board member to give that orientation and so forth, and about what's local, and give them an idea of how the budget's done, things like that, you know, how the board runs, and a brief synopsis of what the education law is. And it seems to work well as far as that's concerned.
I think that's good for everybody that didn't have that opportunity from that.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's very good with boards, and he's a very good educator.
Yeah, I would think we could schedule that session, and any other experienced board members that wanted to attend could probably open that up.
Yeah, if we
as
have
well.
one of those, and yeah, anybody would be welcome to come as far as the board. And I don't know if you could use it for your tier hours or not, but that would certainly maybe something that we could check into. If we ever get to that one, then certainly any board members invited.
Anything else on that? Okay. I will call recess to go into executive session at 7:34.